Hello there, my name is Xavier Von Erck. This is the first supplemental video for a little retrospective I'm putting together of the years running pervertedjustice.com, which fellow olds might know as the website that created the show To Catch a Predator on Dateline NBC. As backstory, in October 2024, a YouTuber named Morticia did a chatlog reading of the Donald Morrison chats. When I saw her thumbnail of the video, which included what was a very infamous at the time screen cap of Morrison, I was looking at the thumbnail and trying to remember who did the chatlog on the Donald Morrison case off the top of my head. Turned out, after clicking on her video, it was me. Literally had no idea that I could have talked to a guy as creepy and loathsome as Morrison while doing decoy work, then got him arrested and convicted, but not remember was a disturbing reminder of just how old I'd let my brain become. I mean, seriously, just look at this man. Imagine forgetting you talked to this dude and had gotten him arrested. This dude. Needless to say, the realization that I had no clue was honestly very upsetting. Literally paused the video, stunned and somewhat scared. Sure, we're talking about something that had happened 18 years prior. But I'm not in my goddamn 60s. I'm not even in my 50s. Brain shouldn't have been that out of shape. There should be a law that if you talk to a guy like Donny Boy here, and you don't remember it, you should be put straight into a home to forever sip jello through a straw. Resuming the video, and fortunately seeing the chatlog on screen, a ton of memories about that sting came flooding back. Happy memories of some work well done. To be a giant nerd with a very silly but apt-feeling comparison, it felt like Gandalf rolled up and slightly beat back the Grima worm tongue that likes to hang out in my brain.
I know your face.
This all served as a bit of a wake-up call to go traipse through the rubble of my old digital landscape, to go remember, to jog the brain. For too long, the only thoughts and memories in my mind about the website were the negative experiences, or the later idiotic gaslighting of people on Reddit and YouTube comments regurgitating stupid insults, half-truths, and often outright lies about the work that we had done. While picking through the bones, I found an old media archive of some of the earliest news stories we did, between late 2003 and through the start of 2006. Thought it might be a good excuse to learn how AI upscaling technology works, as all the videos in the archive were in glorious and beautiful 240p from when we had compiled them almost 2 decades ago. After I upscaled them slightly and smoothed out the artifacting a little bit, I've thrown them into a supplemental compilation for a bigger project I'm very slowly working on. This is the first of around 8 supplemental video compilations I'm putting together. This specific video features 7 of the early TV news stories and interviews we did between October 2003 and February 2004, a little time capsule of a very challenging era of a website that was never actually planned to exist. Have really no idea the kind of person that would be interested in this material. Highly doubt anyone else but me would be. Putting it together for my benefit as a nice little trip down memory lane of a past life that was far, far more dope than my brain had allowed itself to remember. Besides, is there anything more old man style than sitting on your digital porch talking to yourself of days gone by? I might need to buy a smoking pipe and a shabby black jacket to really complete the feeling. News piece number 1, KPTV12 in Portland, Oregon, November 2003. This was the first TV interview for me, and one of the very first news pieces about the website in general. The co-founder of the original site, a man named Frank Fencepost, is in this piece as well. The editing in this piece is balls out crazy, more like a music video than a news report. General overview of the site and what we do, along with a couple quotes from people we had posted that the reporter had interviewed, and a couple quotes from law enforcement. One of the things I very quickly realized about doing TV news interviews is that they'll talk to you for a really long time, and then cut it down to a couple short blurbs. For this piece, I talked to the reporter for around an hour. 2 quick snippets were used. At first, assumed it meant I did a horrible job. However, that was how local news worked back then and probably works the same way today. They shoot a lot, they use a little. Though I didn't really mind it. As a 24-year-old at the time, there were worse fates than talking to Hillary Hutchinson for an hour. Oh, pretty lady, wow. The other interesting thing that I hadn't quite realized before doing this is that news stations would send the raw footage to other stations owned by the same corporate conglomerate. We'd be online doing work and suddenly get messages about being on TV in some far-flung part of the country with interview snippets never used in the original piece. Now you might be saying, well, I don't know TV news stations do that, stupid. But hey, I was 24 years old in 2003 and had no idea at the time. Anyway, the piece follows. Even has a sample of the 50-cent classic In the Club, which makes me laugh every single time I hear it. So ridiculous to use that as an audio pad for a news story.
Patrol on the map. As Fox 12 first reported back in September, the locally based website pervertedjustice.com exposes adults they say prowl the internet for underage sex partners. Here's KPTV's Hillary Hutchinson.
In the 19th century, vigilantes banded to maintain public order when the West was at its wildest. Now in the century of chat rooms and instant messaging, some say there's a new sheriff in town, cleaning up the cyber streets vigilante style.
We saw there was a huge problem there.
Portland-based pervertedjustice.com exposes people it calls wannabe pedophiles.
So we're going to see if he takes the bait here.
By posing as children.
Okay, we'll be chatting as Girly Girl 1990.
And waiting for adults to proposition them for sex.
Asking me when my mom's going to be leaving.
If the guy asks to meet for sex and gives his phone number, the entire conversation is posted on the site, along with his first name, picture, and phone number. Although the website never actually calls its targets pedophiles, it's nothing to laugh out loud about for most of those exposed by the website.
For the most part, I don't have much sympathy because I know what these people are trying to do.
Last week, a Beaverton man was fired from his job at a lending company, and his wife and friends aren't speaking to him after he was posted on the website. He told Fox 12, "I'm absolutely sick over what happened. I knew in my heart the whole time it was wrong. But I think what this organization is doing is highly commendable." Another Beaverton man says the website set him up, that he thought he was talking to an 18-year-old. He told us, "They changed the age when they put it up on the website. That's not what it was during our conversation. I didn't do anything wrong." But we saw the original archive of that chat, which can't be manipulated. The volunteer claims to be 13. After a Detroit teacher was posted, he was put on administrative leave and says he's been suicidal.
All we did is post that conversation and hold him accountable for his behavior. He engaged in the behavior. He's responsible for any feelings that he's having now.
Perverted Justice founders say no agency has ever asked them to back off. The FBI says it's not appropriate for us to comment on that website because what they're doing is not illegal. And the Washington County Sheriff's Department says we do feel it's best to let real law enforcement agencies do that kind of work. Good theory, Perverted Justice founders say, since they don't consider themselves vigilantes, and they say they don't pretend to be officers and don't want to get in the way of law enforcement.
But what we're doing is we're reaching out to a lot of these guys that law enforcement and child protection agencies aren't going to be able to touch because of the sheer numbers, the sheer volume.
The website also offers dozens of links to child protection resources, help for actual pedophiles, and sex offender databases. Hillary Hutchinson, the 10 o'clock news.
Two men started the site last year after noticing questionable online behavior by fellow chat room regulars. Now the duo is joined by more than a dozen volunteers whose mission is to convict would-be pedophiles in the court of public opinion.
Looking to fight those wrinkles?
Nah, I'm all good with my wrinkles, actually. News piece number 2 was KGW8, Portland, Oregon, November 2003. This piece aired either the same night or maybe even a night before the prior story. This was the NBC affiliate in Portland, Oregon. One thing I hadn't realized with local news is that if you do a story of one, sometimes the others would find out and want their own stories. Or they'd just do a hit piece on you, since you'd talked to the other station and not them. The local news game back then was super cutthroat. Hell if I know, it might even still be. Further along in 2004 especially, we'd end up in situations with multiple requests from stations in the same market to do a media sting. Then we'd pick one, and the other stations would attack that other station's reporting and by extension us, despite, hitting us up wanting to do a media sting themselves previously. It's not fair. We would have done a better job. We hate them now. Looking back and being honest, I thought Frank did a good job here overall. He would have made a much better spokesperson for the website than me back then had he not had some other problems in general.
Down on adults who prey on minors over the internet. News Channel 8's Jane Smith joins us now. Jane, you found a website that's trying to help as well.
It's called Perverted Justice, a website that exposes adults who have allegedly preyed on children.
Here's our first contestant. His name is Craig. He's 29 years old and was wanting to hook up with a 15-year-old girl.
Frank FencePost is trolling the internet for pedophiles. Monday, his website caught two.
It's just wrong to try to have sex with a 15-year-old.
FencePost is the co-creator of PervertedJustice.com, a website that posts the names and photos of adults allegedly caught preying on children. Frank and his contributors pose as young girls and chat with men. Often the men ask for sex, and that's when this happens.
Oh, there we go. She just gave him the link to PervertedJustice.com and said you probably ought to check that page in about 20 minutes.
When he does, he'll find the chat log, his picture, email address, and phone number posted, all for the world to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of shame in it. Yeah, there definitely is.
Shame is just a byproduct of FencePost's aim.
First and foremost, we want them to stop trying to, have these sexual conversations and set up these meetings for, these sexual rendezvous with these, grossly underage girls.
The FBI uses a similar technique with its Innocent Images Task Force. It recently arrested Vancouver minister Thomas James. U.S. Attorney Greg Nias says there's no law against what Perverted Justice is doing.
There's nothing that says you can't tell a lie on the internet.
And as long as that's true, Frank says he'll continue to pull back the veil of secrecy and expose would-be pedophiles.
That's what the whole point is to remove the anonymity that these guys are operating under.
In the year the website has been running, Perverted Justice has busted 300 people. FencePost says they confirm the identity of the offenders before they post their photo and information on the web. Laurel?
Thank you, Jane.
News piece number 3, Fox Local in Chicago, Illinois, November 2003. Up next is our first shadowy vigilante mom story. In October and November 2003, I was getting a ton of media requests for television interviews for stories. And I would farm out stories to people in the organization who were local to the requesting station, trying to find someone who would do a better job than me at explaining the site. Unfortunately, most volunteers had these things called lives and concerns about being attacked, so they wanted to do interviews in shadow, something I didn't find particularly effective, and felt it made us look even creepier than my dumb face doing an interview did. Still, it was a major goal for me at the time to find someone who could go on TV without blurring their face or being in shadow, who had a much more pleasing face for television than I do, and still be able to hold their own if asked a few tough questions. The main focus of this particular news story is an interview with a predator posted under the username One Sweet Caring Male on Yahoo. Old One Sweet Caring Male is in shadow as well, which is a good illustration of why I didn't much like it when our volunteers were in shadow. To a simple person, it creates a feeling of, oh, they're similar. This was one of the first one of these types of stories where the guy who was posted, the predator himself, actually thought he'd get sympathy. A handful of other posted individuals would go on to try the same thing, but it never really worked out for them other than to call even more attention to themselves. Streisand effect, baby. Anyways, people who knew this guy hit us up at the time claiming he had gotten a 13-year-old pregnant. No idea if that was true, but given the parents' comments in the piece, well, yeah, makes me suspect it was probably true. Then the parents were interviewed. They describe how hard the sight readers went on the phone and admit that they view their son as a pedophile themselves. Really rather heart-wrenching stuff. Even my cold, dead black heart felt bad for them at the time. was a nice change from all the family members trying to defend the individual posted that we usually dealt with. The producer that did this piece actually made the case for the parents on our forums and pointed us to another number that we had already dug up that the producer basically confirmed to be the predator's cell phone.
You're watching Fox News at 9.
Federal authorities are reporting tonight that as many as 1 in 5 American teenagers has been sexually solicited while on a computer.
That has some people trying to tackle this explosive problem on their own. Tonight, our Mark Sapelsa tracked down a vigilante mom and one of the dozen local men she's caught red-handed online.
Robin Walter, these mothers pose as young children on the web and wait to be propositioned by adults. They're not trained in law enforcement, and as you'll see in tonight's Closer Look, they simply want to embarrass and shame what they call would-be pedophiles. Since anyone can remain anonymous on the internet, it's not surprising everyone in our story wanted the same protection.
I don't hunt these guys down. I don't even say anything in the chat room. I don't approach these guys. I just sit there and they start coming to me.
Laura is a pregnant suburban mother whose online conversations are so disgusting we can't repeat them on TV.
Suddenly one will start and then like they all start.
She's an online vigilante posing as a 12-year-old girl. You heard right, a 12-year-old girl. She volunteers for the website Perverted Justice, exposing adults who would lure children into dirty talk.
Or what sexual experience did I have?
And often worse.
Would I allow him penetration? Wanted me to masturbate on the phone, a 12-year-old.
Laura is describing a conversation with this man.
She said she was 12, but I really didn't believe her.
A 25-year-old from suburban Chicago.
I know what was wrong, and I know that it shouldn't have happened.
But it does happen. Tens of thousands of times a day, experts say. Perverted Justice volunteers have caught nearly 300 men, 20 of them from Illinois.
He got right down to business. I told him in the beginning of the chat, I'm 12 years old, I'm female, and I believe his first response was, well, you could be my daughter.
I was lonely that night, and that's what I wanted to talk about.
He really quickly steered the conversation to a sexual topic.
You wanted some dirty talk because you were lonely?
Yeah, that was pretty much what the conversation was going to entail.
But with a 12-year-old?
I didn't believe she was 12.
And if she was, he insists his verbal affair with his so-called minor was his first and last.
I could see if they had 3 or 4 chats. If they called me one time, and the one time I did it.
The proof is there for everyone to see, line by line, word by word, in damning and graphic detail. Maybe I'll stop by later. His entire conversation with the vigilante mom posted online next to his name, email, and picture.
This has ruined my life. This has cost me my last job because of the suicide attempts.
His parents say they're heartbroken and angry.
It made me sick. But then, how could you dare do this? How could you be so stupid to have this person say that they're 12, whether they were or not? It was there.
They found out about the website because their son gave their home phone number to what he thought was the 12-year-old girl. That phone number, it's posted on the website, too.
He used our computer for this, and he doesn't live here. Phone rings at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's not going to get the phone call.
And the phone did ring. The website's followers seem to delight in telling bosses, neighbors, and family members about the men they call would-be pedophiles. Late-night callers would ask for the pervert, some acting like detectives. That's where the family says they crossed the line.
The impersonation of a police officer just irks me.
I said, please, please, leave us alone.
They're not putting the fear of God in him. They're putting the fear of God in us.
Do you believe your son's a pedophile?
Well, I would say yes.
Unfortunately, I agree.
Their son swears he's never met an underage girl for sex. But the website's critics complain these vigilantes are forcing those who do underground, making them more careful and making a tough job even harder for police.
We want to make sure that these people are prosecuted and put in prison.
Cook County Sheriff Michael Sheehan applauds volunteers like Laura for their good intentions, but he says they must involve law enforcement to get real results.
I'd rather work with them than have them go out as vigilantes and at times really do no more than just embarrass them.
I can't do anything for the children that they've talked to beforehand, but I can certainly intercept and block them from the children further down in the line.
We want to be clear, we're not accusing the people featured on this website of committing any crime. And yes, while it is illegal for someone in Illinois to meet who they think is a child for sex, police and prosecutors follow strict rules to avoid accusations of entrapment. Sheriff Sheehan's unit boasts a 100% conviction rate, but the fact that at least one of the Illinois men featured on this website was already a convicted sex offender leaves moms like Laura here convinced that more must be done. Walter and Robin, over the weekend, the website claimed to have caught 4 more men in Illinois red-handed as well.
You know, the men who do this know very well that people are watching them. The police do this as well.
Yes,
FBI agents do this. So they must be very desperately in need of making contact with a child. Why did he agree to talk to you about it?
I don't have the exact answer, but I think he felt he wanted to get it across to us that, in his words, I did this one time, made a mistake, and it was the only time. Please remember that.
And he kept saying he didn't believe she was 12 years old, too.
Correct.
Which may be an excuse.
You know, it's for him and his higher authority to figure out. His parents don't necessarily believe that it was the only time.
Yeah, that was interesting. When you say police, they work with them. So if you happen to, if one of these moms gets online and does this, can she call police at some point and say, look, I got one on the hook, can you?
I think that's what Sheriff Sheehan is encouraging. I'm not sure that every police department is encouraging that because they don't have the man or woman power to get it all done, but he seemed to be saying that.
Got some volunteers willing to help. Thank you, Mark. Very interesting.
News piece number 4, WGCL 46 in Atlanta, Georgia, November 2003. Without a doubt, one of my favorite ever media stories about the website. No, not one of my favorite at the time, but one of my favorite all time. And that covers some real ground. If you're watching this for whatever reason and saying to yourself, oh, why is this old fuck posting all this nostalgia and shit? It's because I had honestly completely forgotten little cool pieces of media like this, and all the oddball details surrounding it. Running across it again while diving through my old unposted media archive jogged my memory and made me quite happy. So excuse me while I huff some nostalgia nerd, let an old man have his fun. So the background here is that a station in Atlanta hit us up for an interview. WGCL 46 in Atlanta found out about that and decided to do a story on their own. They put a reporter named Tyler Bacombe on it, and he knocked it out of the park to the extent that when it came time to pick a news station in Atlanta to do a small sting with later on, we went with this station merely because we love this story so much. It's one thing to interview some guys at a house with security and in a place unfamiliar to the predator, but Bacombe literally rolled up to this dickwad's house and went inside. That's beyond ballsy. As a postscript, the other station we had been working with thought we had double-dipped in Atlanta and fucked him by working with Bacombe, but we hadn't. We had no idea he was doing this. So they went negative on us, but that was fine, because no matter what story they were intending to do originally, it wouldn't have been better than this one. The main predator featured here was a guy who went by the yim name Rick4294. As a random piece of trivia, this was the first chat log Frag from To Catch a Predator fame had as a chat contributor with our website. During our work doing follow-up after the log was posted, the wife posed as his sister when communicating with us, claimed he was retarded and that he would be put into a mental hospital. She did a pretty good job posing as the beleaguered sister in chat logs and on the phone to try to get us to stop focusing on exposing this guy to his community. Turned out, wasn't the case. It was his wife all along, and Rick was never put into a mental hospital. The chat logs she had with us posing as her sister are greatly amusing in retrospect, but certainly weren't at the time. And now, without any further ado, let's focus on getting it right.
This is CBS 46 News with Tony Harris and Stephanie Fisher, live from Atlanta's News Channel.
How far would you go to protect your children from online predators? Well, there's a new kind of pervert police in town. Take a look. It's a new website, pervertedjustice.com. 2 people tired of hearing about adult men trying to lure children into sex created the site. And tonight you'll hear from the site operators as well as a local man whose picture is plastered on the website. Tyler Beckham joins us now live with a story you'll see only on CBS 46.
Yes, Stephanie, we have pervertedjustice.com dialed up. Let me show you how it works. Site workers pose as teenagers who have conversations with men trying to have sex with children. From there, as in the case of this Dunwoody man, They post the men's pictures, their graphic conversations, even their phone numbers if they can get it, just enough information for us to track down these men and expose their secrets.
You got
This Hateville man is quickly finding out there's a price to pay for trying to have sex with 14-year-old girls, even if it never happens, even if it doesn't involve police. Do you wish you hadn't done all this now? As you can imagine, his wife is not happy about it, but it's not for the reason you might think.
I'm embarrassed that he did this on the internet.
Since he hasn't been charged with a crime, we're not showing his face or saying his name. But we can tell you what he allegedly said to who he thought was a 14-year-old girl, courtesy of pervertedjustice.com.
What's the price you pay for going online and trying to hook up with somebody like that?
Website co-founder Xavier Von Erck says he designed the site to hold men who try to pick up children online accountable.
For the most part, I don't have much sympathy because I know what these people are trying to do.
Like the man who lives here. He goes by Mike. Though he wasn't home when we stopped by, CBS 46 learned he teaches music at an Atlanta church. The same man who told who he thought was a 14-year-old girl he would kiss her all over, then rub his hands, quote, all over her sweet young body. In his words, his rough hands caressing her soft skin.
Get the camera off me!
CBS 46 never expected what would happen when we tracked down the Hateville man, though, or Ricky, 4294. His wife invited us into their home while Ricky hid in a closet. We asked him about the text on pervertedjustice.com and why he asked the 14-year-old how big her chest was and if she wanted to be his girlfriend, before describing what kind of sex he wanted to have with her if she passed out from the beer they drink, and confirming she liked men with big privates. You asked if she likes big. Well, just tell me, did you say that or not? Did you say that or not? But the bigger issue in his wife's eyes, that he didn't claim the girl's picture made her look older, as she told us earlier.
It was entrapment.
Explain why that is. Like, how did they
showed a 14-year-old on there?
So you knew?
Or 15, or whatever they said, I don't know.
Giving the impression this supposed entrapment wasn't a setup at all.
You're supposed to say she looked 35 or 36, not she looked 14. Get it right!
It's a fine line lawyer Jerry Frolick says the website straddles. His personal opinion?
I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't like it.
Different from his professional, saying pervertedjustice.com isn't illegal.
It is like sending a letter. You send a letter to me, I can do what I want with it. It's not private, it's not confidential.
So for now, these online vigilantes will continue exposing exposers and policing perverts, many of whom will pay a price, personally, if not legally.
Okay, you got mother.
Now, if you have children or you'd like to check out the site yourself, dial us up at cbs46.com and click on the Perverted Justice link. It's worth mentioning we contacted the FBI agents locally who handle this sort of thing with innocent images. They had no comment about the websites. Live in the newsroom, Tyler Beckham, CBS 46, Atlanta's News Channel.
News piece number 5. NBC4 in Columbus, Ohio, February 2004. This news story was another in the Reporters Go Talk to the Guys We Posted genre of news stories. This was originally aired on February 5th, 2004. On the very same night this aired, we also had media stings being aired in Detroit and Kansas City, as well as an interview in Portland, Oregon. Needless to say, this was a very busy time. This story focuses on a guy we posted under the username DozerMan90. Frag told a fun behind-the-scenes story about how the guy showed up at the station on our forums. That this chud actually showed up wearing a friggin' ski mask. Yeah, brother, that's how you show a reporter that you're not a super creep. Good call. He also wrote a right of reply back in the day that was complete trash. Now, almost all the rights of replies back in this era were complete trash, but I always loved getting them and posting them because often the guys we posted would just dig their holes deeper. Dozerman here is no different, sending in a horribly misspelled email rife with run-on sentences.
It's been said that internet chat rooms have become the latest way to meet people without ever leaving your home.
But police say with the internet comes the potential for dangers, especially when it comes to children and sex. Tonight, Nancy Burton looks at an unusual website that started in Portland, Oregon, but has now gone national. The web creators claim it's trying to protect the innocent by exposing the predators.
I think I found her.
Their first encounter was an internet chat room late one night.
Just said hi, and
The conversation quickly turned to sex.
I don't know nothing about her.
So he asked Danielle to call.
And I remember that I gave her my phone number.
Then he wanted to get together at her house after Danielle's mom went to work.
Do you remember when she asked you if you could bring condoms over?
No.
You don't remember responding saying, yes, I can bring condoms?
Nope, I don't remember.
Danielle's age was clear. Danielle said she was only 14 years old. He's 33.
You said you don't look 14.
Yes.
Did it trouble you that she was 14?
At that point, I don't remember very much on that because due to the fact that I was drinking.
The man agreed to speak with us only if we didn't show his face. He admits he quickly sobered up when he discovered he wasn't really talking to 14-year-old Danielle in Westerville.
Very ashamed.
That's because he got busted, but not by Columbus police.
I felt sick.
He got busted on the internet by a website called Perverted Justice.
There's a bunch of goals. That's one, to get these people to stop. We also have the goal of educating parents, because a lot of parents don't understand how bad these places are.
Xavier Von Erck, that's not his real name, and Frank Fencepost started this website 2 years ago and claimed to have exposed more than 500 men.
No, I don't get a kick out of it. It makes me sick. It makes me want to throw up. I value innocence.
Frank and Xavier have volunteers all over the country posing as young girls going into chat rooms. If a sex act is mentioned, a phone number exchanged, and a meeting set up, then Frank and Xavier post it all, including the person's photo on their website. That's how this man got on the website.
What the hell happened?
We called his cell phone number that was posted on the web. Drunk or not, he wanted to talk about the mistake he made.
What kind of monster am I to be on here, and what have I done?
Frank and Xavier say it's not entrapment, it's about education.
Because we are concerned citizens. We're not the police. We're not government.
Gary Cameron is someone who tries to stop the exploitation of children.
Which it is a terrible and growing law enforcement problem.
Lieutenant Cameron has his concerns about the benefits of such a website.
Just because they posted his picture and address and name on the website, has he stopped? Is he no longer trying to lure kids out for sex acts?
The website creators say fear and humiliation can be a deterrent when it comes to chat rooms and solicitation. This man couldn't agree more.
Careful what you say, be careful what you do.
Nancy Burton, News Channel 4.
Now, the Columbus man we spoke to maintains that he never intended to meet the 14-year-old he thought he was chatting with and says he will keep trying to get his profile off the site. Columbus police also offer a free program on internet safety to schools and block watch groups. If you're interested, you can call the police and ask for the Juvenile Bureau. For more information on parental controls like filtering or blocking software, log on to NBC4Columbus.com and click on Target 4.
News piece number 6. WAVE-3 in Louisville, Kentucky, February 2004. If you had another reporter goes and talks to a guy posted on the website story on your bingo card, congratulations. Bingo! This one with the screen name KY Fire Guy 69 2003. Overall, this is a relatively negative piece in overall tone, especially in terms of the FBI comments. As you may have noticed, some of these news pieces are very similar to the others in terms of structure, because they just take the general template for the story and repeat it. What was interesting to me at the time was the variance in opinions from the various FBI people and law enforcement that these stations would interview. Personally, I loved any piece where the media interviewed delusional family members. It was such a common thing for us to run into when we posted individuals on the website. Family members just sticking their heads in the sand. The mom in this story is by no means unique. Angry, delusional mommies defending their poor, mistreated man babies were one of the most common issues we ran into back in the day, in the pre-conviction era. The site was super brutal back in those days because we just openly post everything about those people, and the community would absolutely bulldoze these guys in terms of contacting their family, workplaces, and neighbors. I always kind of liked stories back then that would lay out exactly what the site readers were doing, because it would signal to new visitors to do the same thing without me having to explicitly say it. I know it's mean, but hey, at least I'm honest about it. Lastly, in no interview did I ever say that, oh, I'm just trying to protect children. I was always honest I was in it to go after internet predators, to expose them, and then to eventually get them arrested and convicted. Even on innocuous details, the media likes to just make things up. And yeah, hey, young me, the reasonable man wouldn't respond positively to any sex talk with a 13-year-old. Preach.
Good evening, I'm Scott Reynolds.
And I'm Dawn G. We begin with the Wave 3 Investigator Exclusive.
A civilian website claims to expose pedophiles, but the FBI is against it. The website's creator says he's just trying to protect your children. Tonight, the mother of a Louisville man targeted by the group talks about how the experience changed her life. Wave 3 investigator Eric Flack has our story tonight.
There's no question it's a problem.
We have arrested hundreds of people.
These people are everywhere.
Who have tried to entice minors over the internet.
I mean, it's a good thing there is people out there watching our children.
But how far is too far to catch a predator?
No, we're not vigilantes at all.
We don't encourage the public to enforce the law or do our job.
No, my son's not a pedophile.
This Louisville woman who asked that we not show her face has a son who ended up on an Oregon-based website called pervertedjustice.com. Posing as 13-year-old girls, staff members enter internet chat rooms, then bait adults into asking them for sex, often bringing up the idea before their targets do.
I think they trapped him into saying things that he did say.
Her son, once a firefighter and EMT in the area, had his picture and phone number posted on the website next to a chat session with a girl he thought was 13. KY Fire Guy, have you ever had sex before? The response, yes. Want to when I come see you? Sure, if you do, Perverted Justice writes back. Then later, it's the website staffer who says, you're going to sex me up? KY Fire Guy writes back, yeah, if you can handle it, baby, asking his new friend for wild sex. Perverted Justice Director Xavier Von Erck spoke with us by phone.
The reasonable man would not respond positively to any form of sex talk with a 13-year-old.
But FBI spokesman David Byer told us Perverted Justice's tactics are over the line.
They run a risk of civil liability, perhaps criminal liability. They have the potential of identifying the wrong person.
In a period of about 3 days, 2 to 3 days, there were over 600 phone calls.
KY Fire Guy lived with his mom when he was targeted, so her phone number also ended up on the website.
And we were told that they had found our address and that we needed to watch our backs when we stepped out of our house.
A couple weeks ago, KY Fire Guy left the state altogether.
His picture was on the internet, on a website. It said, this is a pedophile. Wouldn't you say that would ruin your life?
KY Fire Guy posted this response on the Perverted Justice website. In the letter, he says he hated himself for what he tried to do, actually thanked the website for forcing him to go get help. But then tonight he called our station and said the website made everything up and that he had to change his appearance and his phone number because of all the harassment. Perverted Justice told us it's not their goal to harass anybody. They just want to let the community know who's out there. Reporting live from the newsroom, Eric Flack, Wave 3 Investigators.
Eric, any of the folks who've been, what they might think, entrapped by this website, any lawsuits against Perverted Justice?
The funny thing is, some of them have actually complained to police, Scott, and Perverted Justice told us that after they complained and showed the police the chat that they had, the police ended up opening investigations on them.
All right, and the website says in a handful of cases, police, in fact, have taken their postings and opened those investigations, but the FBI says many of those conversations actually could be thrown out because it is entrapment. And we want to know what you think. Does the civilian website, pervertedjustice.com, go too far? Log on to wave3.com and vote in our online poll.
Yeah, we won the fuck out of that poll. News piece number 7. NBC 10 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. February 2004. Bit of an oddball story. This was a Philadelphia piece about a guy we posted named Burning Years 20 on Yahoo. He had been interviewed by the Detroit station we worked with in their media sting, and Philadelphia then decided to do a story based on the footage, just due to the fact that he used to live in New Jersey. We would do a sting with the same Philadelphia station later in the spring of 2004. The flippant attitude by this guy, when confronted, really pissed off viewers and site readers. People really hated how matter-of-fact he was about his disappointment that it wasn't a real girl. During the follow-up portion after we posted the chat log, his godmother actually came to the website to complain and try to plead for us to remove his chat log. Again, delusional family members were a constant issue back in the day. Let me tell you, her coming to an anti-predator website and saying, "By the way, in a court of law, yes, a jury does decide another's guilt and a sentence is handed down. You fail to remember that juries do not make themselves up. They are chosen in a specific manner, legally." About your relative does not get people to let up on the individual. Red meat for outrage. Overall, the casual and honest interview this guy did really shocked people. This is months before our first thing with Dateline in New York, so people really weren't expecting to see a guy just straight out and go, "Yeah, I'm here for a 13-year-old, no big deal." He was a harbinger of some of the shamelessness of TCAP predators to come, and people were absolutely not prepared for that kind of interview at the time. Lastly, this is a very late-stage Frank Finspos interview, a couple months before I would exile him from the organization.
Well, now a story that's going to make your skin crawl. Perverts and pedophiles searching for their young victims online. And we're there as they unknowingly walk right into a trap. NBC 10's Harry Harrison is live with this exclusive report. Harry?
Renee, a vigilante website set up to bust potential pedophiles online snags a local man who thought he was about to meet a 13-year-old girl. But instead, he's busted. And now you'll hear his shocking excuse in his own words.
You looking for a 13-year-old girl? Yeah. Yeah?
This area man admits in front of rolling cameras that he thought he was about to meet a 13-year-old girl for sex. But instead, he met television cameras, all arranged by a website set up to expose potential pedophiles surfing the web for children.
It's not just to have sex. It's actually, I do want to actually love somebody.
More on this man in a moment. But first, the website. It is pervertedjustice.com. Its mission: find, lure, and expose potential pedophiles. The site's founders tell NBC 10 News that they've busted and posted hundreds of pedophiles in less than 2 years, and they say these are dangerous adults out to hurt children.
We've had men that were homosexual that approached what they believed was an underage boy and wanted to have him come be like their quote-unquote boy toy and live there and, you know, do the housework.
Dozens of volunteers nationwide log onto their PCs daily, posing as kids as young as 13 years old, engaging in explicit sexual conversation. And those potential pedophiles come from all walks of life, all types of backgrounds, and different communities, like this one in southern New Jersey.
I'm shocked because I never would have dreamed this.
Donald Tuzo's nephew is the man we first showed you, Colin Berry. Barry grew up in this Cape May Point beach community with his aunt and uncle. They knew nothing about Barry's activities, and they thought Barry was doing well in Michigan after leaving Jersey in September.
I hope the best for him. You know, if there's anything I can do to help him, I'll try.
Prosecutors in Michigan tell NBC 10 News they are planning to charge Barry for attempting to have sex with the 13-year-old he thought he met online. But Barry insists his intentions included more than just sex with a minor.
I just thought she was really a sweet person. I thought it could turn into something good. At 13? Well, hoping.
Tonight, prosecutors in Michigan tell NBC 10 News that they are seeking search warrants to confiscate Barry's computer to help strengthen their case. Harry Harrison, NBC 10 News. Back to you.
So hey, 7 very early stories. There were plenty more at that time. Many more that we never even saw back then. Internet video was still pretty much in its infancy, and most local news stations didn't have great online websites to post video on. If for some reason anyone runs across this and you enjoyed it, don't bother me about it. Go give props to Mortimer instead. The link to her channel is in the video description. It was only after realizing how much fun I had dredging through the tallest, dreamiest, dockiest experience with old Morty on her channel that I decided to go grab a shovel and dig through the content graveyard of my old broken lands, exhuming long varied vaults of dusty pervert conversations and meandering oddball stories. The next video in this supplemental series will feature the first media sting ever, who actually created the concept, and why that first sting would have far-reaching implications for my website in the future when it came to national news coverage from a certain national news network. And nope, not talking about NBC. Until then, I'm Xavier Von Erck, and I have no earthly idea why you watched this, but hey, hope you enjoyed it.
He doesn't take no, he knows no wrong. His game is strong, this is his song. Donnie boy, the grease was calling. From breast to breast and down your entire side. Now you're gone and all the teardrops falling. Took all the cookies with you and I must buy. He's my cookie cowboy, riding through the sky. He's my cookie cowboy, high on an angelic butterfly. Said I was cute and not a geek. Too bad he was the ultimate freak. Showed up with a shirt that did reek and a penis that couldn't hit its peak. Caution was never an actual factor. He knew it would be on Dateline too. Such a pedo, people thought he was an actor, even though he was a cowboy through and through. He's my cookie cowboy, riding through the sky. He's my cookie cowboy, high on an angelic butterfly. He'd still be munching cookies to this day. If only Hanson had let him stay. Then once Dateline made him go away, the cops speared him to next Tuesday. He was 48 years old, a real straight shooter. Lived another 16 years somehow. But his mama, she tried to take his computer. His last words were yippee-ki-yay, yippee-ki-yay.